He hadn't been back in nearly 12 years. The house looked smaller than he remembered, like grief had shrunk its walls. His mother had passed quietly, no drama, no final words, just a call from a neighbor and a mailed death certificate. The rooms were dusty, but intact. Her slippers were still beside the bed, the kettle still half full, and the attic ladder down, just hanging there, stretched to the hallway floor, like someone had just used it. He furrowed his brow. He hadn't touched it. He pulled it back up, locked it in place, and chalked it up to a faulty latch. But the next morning, it was down again, fully extended, waiting. He paused longer this time, climbed 2 steps, cold air breathed down over his scalp. He closed it and walked away. He told himself he didn't care. Told himself he wasn't 13 again, staring at the ceiling at night and wondering what made the boards above his room creak like whispers. That night, around 2:43 a.m., he woke to the sound of the ladder sliding out on its own. It hit the floor with a soft thud. He didn't move, just stared at the ceiling. Then the footsteps began. Not heavy, just small, careful, like someone pacing in tiny circles. He held his breath, counting them, until they stopped above his room. The house grew still, but not quiet. There was humming, barely audible, a lullaby, out of tune. Fragmented, a woman's voice, cracking on the higher notes, trembling on the soft ones. Not sung for joy, sung out of need, out of habit, out of grief. He stayed awake until dawn. When he finally rose, the ladder was up again. Locked. He checked the latch. Solid. That evening, he found a box of his old drawings, crayon sketches of monsters and castles, and a figure standing under a square window with the words, "Don't look up," written in shaky handwriting. He didn't remember drawing that. His mother's journal was beside it. The entries stopped abruptly in 1987, 3 years before he was born. The next night, at 2:40 a.m., he stood at the base of the ladder and waited. 2:41, 2:42, 2:43, thud. It dropped again. He looked up. The attic was pitch dark. Then the humming returned. This time closer. This time with breathing between the verses. Like someone was sitting just above the opening, rocking gently, and then a whisper that was barely breath, cracked with age and sorrow. SHH, he'll wake up. He didn't climb. He couldn't. Something old in him remembered this. The song, the voice, the way the attic smelled like lavender and dust. And something else, something small, long gone, but never carried away. He didn't sleep the next night. He sat in the hallway with the attic ladder in full view, waiting for the moment it would descend. Midnight passed, then 1, then 2. The house made its usual creaks and sighs, as if shifting beneath the weight of something unseen. At 2:43, the latch clicked by itself. He didn't touch it, just watched. The ladder slid down slowly, not like before, not a fall, but a deliberate unfolding, like hands guiding it down gently, lovingly. He stood, took one step, then another. When he reached the third rung, the humming stopped. Not abruptly, not scared, like a pause, a breath. And then, softly, came the voice again. "Don't cry, little one, they'll hear you." He froze. The voice wasn't talking to him, it was talking through him. Like memory leaking through a crack, his hand grazed the edge of the opening. Cold dust coated his fingertips. He didn't look up, but he felt it. Not air, not presence. A pressure heavy and still. Like someone was kneeling above him, waiting to be seen, but not wanting to be remembered. He left the ladder down that night. In the morning, the house smelled like lavender. Not fresh, not floral, dry, pressed, old. The kind that clings to handkerchiefs tucked in drawers, untouched for decades. On the kitchen table, a chipped ceramic cup had been placed neatly beside the kettle. He hadn't done it, but it was the one she used when she read stories aloud. The one with the tiny blue rabbit painted inside, and beside it, something smaller, a cloth doll. No eyes, no face, just thread and fray. He picked it up, and the knocking started again. But not in his head this time, not internal. It was above him. From the attic, 3 soft thumps, like knuckles against wood. He opened his mother's bedroom closet, pushed past the coats and scarves. In the back was a panel, one he hadn't noticed before. Loose, behind it a box, wrapped in yellowed paper and tied with blue ribbon. Inside, a birth certificate. Female, no name, date 1987. Weight 21 kilograms. Time of death 6 days later. There was no mention of the child in any of the journals. No photos, no stories, nothing, just a single sentence, scribbled on the back of the certificate in shaking cursive. She stayed quiet. I kept her safe. He felt it then, not fear, not grief, a fracture, a hairline crack in something he thought was whole. He wasn't alone in the house. He had never been. His mother had kept that secret so tightly wrapped that it had rotted beneath her fingers. And now it was unraveling, slowly, sweetly, like a lullaby in the dark. He started hearing her during the day. Not the humming, not always, but the footsteps, delicate, careful, sometimes overhead, sometimes behind the door to her old bedroom. Even when it was open, he would turn off the faucet and hear breathing that didn't match his own. He'd enter a room and see the rocking chair slowing itself, a few inches off center from where it had been. The doll moved, too. He left it in the kitchen one evening, found it in the attic hallway the next morning, sitting upright, head tilted toward the ceiling like it was listening to something only it could hear. The lavender scent grew stronger. No longer faint, no longer comforting. It felt invasive now, heavy, like he was walking through memory instead of air. And the walls, they creaked more often, but always in patterns, always in threes. Knock, knock, knock. He timed them. They aligned with the times he touched her things, when he moved her old coat, or opened the drawer with her reading glasses, or stepped too close to the ladder without calling out first. Calling out. He didn't realize he had started doing that. A quiet, reflexive whisper, just me. Every time he passed under the attic, he'd say it, not out of fear, out of instinct, out of ritual, because the one night he didn't, he woke to find the hallway rug soaked through. Not water, not blood, but warm, damp, like someone had cried there for hours, head against the floorboards, leaking grief into the seams. He didn't clean it, just stepped around it. Then came the photo, tucked into a book he didn't remember owning. Black and white, faded, his mother maybe younger, holding a baby wrapped in cloth. The attic window behind her, her face blurred, but the expression unmistakable. Terror, but not directed at the camera, at something behind it. He flipped the photo. No writing, but the date printed on the bottom corner read, April 1987. He was born in 1990. He went back to the closet. The loose panel, the birth certificate, it was gone. In its place, the doll. Eyes stitched on now. Red thread, uneven, too large for its head, smiling. He dropped it. It landed soft, but the sound it made was wet. From above him, the humming began again. But slower now, like it was watching him, unsure whether he still deserved the lullaby, unsure if he still counted as her child. He climbed the ladder just before midnight. Not 2:43 a.m. Not waiting this time. It wasn't about catching something. It was about answering. The attic was exactly how he remembered it was. Too spacious, too quiet. Not a single cobweb, no dust. Just that smell, lavender, sharp and recent, as if someone had placed dried bundles along the beams. The rocking chair stood in the corner, facing away. Beside it, a tiny cradle, empty, but freshly made. The blanket creased as if just lifted. A lullaby played softly, no source, just vibration in the air. No wind, yet the chair rocked gently. He stepped forward. The floorboards didn't creak. They breathed. Under his feet, the wood shifted like lungs too tired to rise. He reached the chair. And then he saw her, his mother. Not how she looked at the end, frail and sunken, but younger. Dark hair tied back. Eyes rimmed in sleepless shadow. She didn't look at him. She looked through him, past him, humming with her chin tucked low, hands cupped over the empty cradle. She didn't blink, didn't move, just rocked, until she whispered, "Don't wake her, not yet. She cries too easy." He wanted to speak, wanted to say, "I'm your son." But the words sat in his throat like cold teeth. Her eyes flicked to him at last. Recognition didn't cross her face. Just grief, deep, fossilized. Older than he was, she looked toward the cradle and said, "If she cries again, I'll lose her." Then softer, "I lost you once." He stepped closer. The lullaby stopped. The chair stopped. The woman was gone. The cradle was not empty. A doll lay inside, different now, no longer stitched, just real, small, still, pale as linen, and in its hand a photograph, torn down the center. One half his mother smiling, the other someone missing, erased, as if the memory had burned too long to hold shape. His hands trembled, his knees gave. He sat on the floor of the attic for what felt like hours. Maybe he cried, maybe he didn't. The next morning he was in bed. The ladder was up, locked, the attic sealed, but something changed. The rocking chair now sat at the base of the stairs. The doll rested on his pillow, and outside his door, faint against the wood, 3 perfect knocks. Knock, 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 he whispered like breath. I'm here. And from behind the door, so quiet he barely caught it. SHH, she's still sleeping.